The sacrifice astronauts make when they decide to go into space cannot be overemphasized. They risk everything to help us learn more about space. Apart from the dangers and loneliness that come with living in space, their everyday lives now follow a new set of rules that they must live by. In this video, we will be talking about a few things that astronauts cannot do in space, and also answer some interesting astronaut-related questions you might have along the way. Number 10. Crying. Laughing is very easy in space, but crying is a little bit different because there is no gravity. The truth is that it is very inconvenient to cry in space. According to Canadian astronaut Colonel Chris Hadfield, they can form a liquid ball and stick to your eyes. They sting a bit and they don't shed. This is because, in space, tears do not flow downwards the way they do on Earth because there's no gravity there to pull them down. Astronaut Ron Parise also points out that if the spheres of a tear become too much, it can break free and float around until you wipe it away. So, if one day you become an astronaut, please remember not to think about anything that will make you cry. Number 9. Using the restroom. This might seem a bit weird, but all astronauts pass through a state-sponsored potty training program before heading off to space. It is a very essential phase of their training. Before going into space, astronauts must unlearn their earthly toilet habits and learn new ones. When nature comes calling in space, they either use a toilet built specifically for solid waste or a vacuum tube, for liquid waste. Before technology evolved, the early astronauts wore diapers they proudly called maximum absorbency garments. Thanks to technology though, they can now make use of seated space toilets, urine recycling devices, and unique containers. They still wear diapers when they have to go out on spacewalks, which last for 9 hours most times. Number 8. Taste. NASA reports that astronauts lose their sense of taste when they stay in space for a long period of time. It's so bad that when they return to Earth, they usually complain about the strong taste. Kinda makes you curious, huh? A lot of people believe that this is because of the strong odor common to cabins in the ISS. This dulls the sense of smell, which also affects the sense of taste. Number 7. No intimacy or sex. This may seem far-fetched, but intimacy, romance, or sex in space is a lot more complicated than it is on Earth. It's actually technically impossible. You might be wondering why. Well, here are a few reasons. First, there is no privacy because of the little space available in cabins. It's pretty awkward trying to have sex while your colleagues are right beside you, right? Then there's the lack of gravity, which can make one nauseous, and no one looks forward to throwing up while getting down. Also, astronauts deal with low blood pressure in space, and having sex in such conditions can be fatal. Obviously, there's no law against falling in love while in space, but it is advisable to leave the consummation until your return to Earth. Number 6. Using everyday writing tools. While astronauts still have to perform regular handwritten tasks like making notes on a numerical scientific experiment, writing a letter to family, making calculations, or just writing in a diary, they can't use a normal pen. See, the pens we know need gravity for the ink to be pulled down, so without the force of gravity, the pen will not write. Early astronauts made use of mechanical pencils to write reports until a special space mission pen was created. In this pen, the ink cartridge is pressurized with nitrogen gas. This pushes the ink toward the tip of the pen and allows it to work without gravity. The Fisher Space Pen has since become the most used pen in extreme temperatures, underwater, and in space. Number 5. No alcohol or soda. Carbonated drinks such as soda act quite differently in space. Owing to the zero-gravity situation, when opening a can, the bubbles of carbon dioxide remain in the drink instead of releasing in the air. This causes digestive discomfort. For alcohol, it's more of a cultural thing. There's this myth that alcohol intake at high altitudes make one feel more woozy than normal. However, this myth has been debunked by scientists as it is proven that the wooziness astronauts feel is not in any way related to alcohol. It's more like a norm that's been accepted and practiced throughout the years that everyone just sort of adheres to. Number 4. Basic hygiene. One would assume that astronauts go through the same body washing habits in space as we do on Earth. But up in space, there's no water. The water they drink is gotten from the purification of collective waste and humidity in the air. After that, there's not much water left for washing. So, to clean up, they take sponge baths. leaving the water and soap suds to stick to their skin instead of washing it away. Then they wipe off the excess water and soap with a towel, which is then recycled to get more water. What's most interesting is that they have a special airflow device that dries up towels quickly so that they can get to work immediately. Their schedules are so strict up there, so there's no time to dry out. Number 3. No circadian rhythm to guide sleep. In space, astronauts experience more than 15 sunsets in 24 hours. This makes it impossible to set their sleep schedules based on the circadian rhythm that we do on Earth. Therefore, astronauts have to go through rigorous sleep training before heading off to sleep. Number 2. Strange eating. For a food to be considered worthy of entering space, it must be incapable of hurting people in case it ends up floating around. It also must have a long shelf life. Some basic foods like bread cannot be taken into space because they have a very short shelf life, and they can also leave crumbs floating around the ship. This can cause havoc. These rules also apply to granular seasonings like salt, pepper, curry, and other spices. They can float and land into people's eyes, so these are strictly off limits. Number 1. They must exercise. Astronauts must go through rigorous exercises that can last up to 3 hours daily because they experience loss of muscle mass and bone density. As a result, they need to exercise as much as possible to keep them from fading away into thin air. But the strange thing about their exercise is that the equipment they use is very different from ours. For example, their weightlifting machine uses 2 canisters to make small vacuums. These are then pulled against while doing squats, calf raises, or other related exercises. There you have it, 10 things you can do that astronauts cannot. Which of these do you think you can't live without? Share your thoughts down in the comment section below. And if you haven't already, subscribe to our channel so that you get notified when we upload a new video. See you next time.